Today we're going to be doing a full comparison of the 2025 M5 11-inch iPad Pro compared to the original 11-inch iPad Pro from 2018. And Apple kind of screwed themselves 7 years ago when they released this device because it's got a design and performance that still holds up today. But has the time finally come where it makes sense to upgrade? Maybe. So we're going to take a look at everything with the design and the performance and see if it makes sense to upgrade. And let's just start with the pricing on this thing. The M5 starts at $999 for the 11-inch version and $1299 for the 13-inch version. That is $200 more starting price on both of those since 2018. If somehow you're a super iPad user, you can go all the way up to a 13-inch version with nano texture glass and cellular for a whopping $2,599. But at $999, I do think that the M5 iPad Pro is a pretty good deal. Now, there are a couple of design differences between these two iPads. As you can see, if I just stack them up right next to each other, the M5 iPad Pro is just a little bit thinner. And by a little bit, I mean like 1 millimeter thinner or so. It's like 1 millimeter taller and 1 millimeter less wide, and it weighs about 24 grams less. Now, those are not huge numbers, but it was a surprise when this iPad debuted with the M4 processor because you just couldn't imagine the iPad Pro getting much smaller, but it did somehow. If you zoom into the front side of the display, you'll see that the bezels are a little bit thinner on the M5 version as well, and the camera has actually moved to landscape mode on the M5 iPad Pro compared to the portrait camera that you get on the 2018 iPad Pro. On the back of the iPads, you're going to see a slight difference with the camera surrounds. With the M5, you're going to get a little bit of a camera bump, the single lens, and a LiDAR sensor along with the flash. On the 2018, you're going to get the camera and the flash. Other than that, the backside of these look extremely similar. But where the changes start is with the performance, and the performance difference between these two iPads is actually pretty staggering. So the M5 iPad Pro starts with a 9-core CPU and a 10-core GPU with a 16-core neural engine, plus every GPU core has a neural accelerator. And if you upgrade to a 1 or 2 terabyte iPad Pro, you then get a 10-core CPU instead of 9 cores. The 2018 iPad Pro came with the A12X, which was an 8-core CPU, a 7-core GPU, and an 8-core neural engine. Running these two iPads through Geekbench 6, where it basically tests a whole bunch of things that you do daily on your computer, like checking email and surfing the web and yada yada, the M5 iPad Pro scored a single core score of 4,152 versus 1,346 on the 2018 iPad Pro, which means that the M5 is 308% faster than the 2018 iPad Pro. If we look at the multi-core performance, the M5 shoots even higher with a score of 16,508 versus 4,582, meaning that the M5 is 360% faster than the 2018 iPad Pro. And somehow, even crazier, when testing Geekbench metal scores, the M5 scored 74,609 compared to 17,213, which makes the M5 433% faster in Geekbench metal tests. Now, those are crazy performance gains, but what does that really mean in regular day-to-day usage? Well, I've been using these two iPads side by side for the last couple of days so I could do this video, and I have noticed a couple of times where the 2018 iPad does start to slow down. So just opening up regular apps and kind of moving around, it seems to be okay, but sometimes you get a little bit of a lag. But I have noticed that the longer I use it, the more apps that I have open, the more I start to see a little bit of stuttering. And I'm not seeing too much right now, but you can see that the 2018 iPad Pro is just a little bit slower in just regular tasks like opening apps than it is on the M5. That's not to say that the 2018 is slow, it's just not as fast as the M5. Now, where I was very surprised that I did not see a difference in usage was with gaming. Now, I don't play a whole lot of games on my iPads, and I don't play the latest and greatest iPads, but I do love playing Call of Duty. Now, I fully expected that the 2018 iPad Pro would not run nearly as fast or as smooth as the M5 in regular play. But even with high settings, I was able to play and move around and did not notice any stuttering or lag or frame drops or anything while playing on the 2018 iPad Pro. I was pleasantly surprised. I was sure that in 7 years, the newer iPad was going to be playing it much better. And it's possible I'm getting a lesser frame rate on the 2018, but I don't notice it when I'm playing. All of these games ran incredibly smooth with no discernible difference from the M5. Resident Evil is a popular game that allows you to really show off the graphics performance of these devices. However, I couldn't actually download it on the 2018 iPad Pro, so I guess it's not meeting some minimum specs for some games. But for many of the games out there, maybe most, the 2018 iPad Pro is still a pretty good gaming iPad. Now, since Apple is hyping the M5 as an AI processor, I had to do some AI testing on these devices. So using the Geekbench AI test, testing Core ML with GPU, I got these scores, which I have no idea what they mean. But from left to right, it means the M5 is 10 times faster, 15 times faster, and 50 times faster. Now again, I have no idea what that means, but I guess that's good. Moving on to the Draw Things app, which uses locally downloaded AI models to do AI image generation for you. I put in a prompt of a 70s vision of the future with chrome robots serving coffee in a mid-century modern living room, vintage space posters on the walls, orange and teal color palette, cinematic lighting, magazine cover aesthetic. And then I hit go. After 7 minutes and 22 seconds, the M5 iPad Pro gave me this photo, which is exactly what I asked for, and it actually looks pretty cool. But it looks like the 2018 iPad Pro has not gotten very far, and after it hit an estimated time of completion of 2 hours, I actually just cut off the test. So for local image generation, yes for the M5 iPad Pro, no for the 2018, which also means there is no Apple Intelligence on the 2018 iPad Pro. That is something you're going to need an M1 iPad Pro or later for. The internal SSD speeds on the iPads have increased quite a bit over the last 7 years. As you can see, with the M5, we're getting, looks like 15,000 megabytes per second. Well, there's some caching going on there. That's not exactly right, but a read speed of about 3,000 megabytes per second versus a read speed of about 900 some megabytes per second on the 2018 and a write speed of 2,900. There's also a significant difference with the ports on the bottom. On the port of the M5 iPad Pro, this is Thunderbolt, so you can get up to 40 gigabits per second, but USB-C 3.1 Gen 2, I think, on the 2018 gives you up to 10 gigabits per second. As far as the displays go, there's some pretty big upgrades here as well. The 2018 is a liquid retina, whereas the M5 is the Ultra Retina XDR, which is a tandem OLED display. The M5 gets up to 1000 nits of peak brightness with regular use and up to 1600 nits with HDR, versus a total of 600 nits on the 2018, and there is no HDR capability. Both of these iPad displays are 264 pixels per inch. They both have the 120 Hz ProMotion. They're both laminated displays with True Tone. Now, watching movies is where you can really see the difference on the M5 iPad Pro with that tandem OLED display. So if we use this clip from John Wick as an example, you're going to see some pretty extreme differences between these two displays. The dynamic range on the M5 iPad Pro just can't be beat. Look at this right here. I'm just going to pause right here for a second and look at the face of this woman. You cannot even see any features on the 2018 iPad Pro. It is so dark that there's just no detail to her face at all. And that's going to be a theme that continues throughout this clip. You're just going to see details and stuff in the shadows that you can't see. Everything is crushed on the 2018 iPad Pro. There's no detail in the shadows at all. Now I want to show you an example of the HDR. With the M5, you're going to see on the chandeliers to John Wick's left that there's actual HDR. Those things are bright and actually clear. They're a little blown out in this clip that you're seeing recorded here, but they're just way brighter than it is on the 2018. And one more example of detail in the low light is that on the M5, you can actually see the smoke billowing up on the right side of the display, where you see none of that on the 2018. And for anyone wondering, here's the difference between the glossy and the nano texture finish on the M5 iPad Pros. The overall up to 1000 nits of brightness on the M5 is just great for everyday use as well, especially if you're sitting outside or in a very bright room. You're just going to be able to see the display easier on the M5 than you are on this one. So depending on how you use your iPad, that alone might be reason enough for a nice upgrade to the M5 iPad Pro. When it comes to the speakers, there are 4 speakers in each of these iPads, and they do sound different. Playing the same audio track on both iPads going back and forth, I found that the M5 iPad Pro got up to around 84 decibels maximum while playing this audio track. When playing the same audio track on the 2018 iPad Pro, I saw up to 87 decibels. Now, decibel increases are not linear, they are exponential, so it's quite a bit louder. Overall though, I would say that the speakers in the M5 sound a little muddy. There's a bit more low end, but a little less high end. And the A12X or the 2018 iPad Pro actually does sound fuller to my ears. And that's probably because of, well, physics. The speakers in the 2018 iPad Pro are actually bigger than what's in the M5 because the M4 and M5 shrunk the design. Now, we talked about cameras briefly, but the camera on the back of the M5 is a 12 megapixel sensor with f2.0 aperture. It's a wide angle lens. It's just a single lens. And on the 2018, it's a 12 megapixel sensor with f2.2. Now, they primarily shoot all of the same formats, the same video types, the same frame rates for the most part. Now, if we take a look at this picture of my Lars Ulrich bobblehead, you'll see that the photo coming out of the M5 iPad Pro is very sharp. There is a lot of detail in here. You can see the grit, you can see the grime. It just actually doesn't look like a good photo at all. Now, the photo that came out of the 2018 iPad Pro actually looks nicer, but it's completely fake. It is super smooth. The colors are different. Like, everything about it is actually not true to life, which is very interesting. Now, the camera on the M5 iPad Pro can also shoot ProRes video, which means you can get really high uncompressed video out of the iPad versus the regular compressed video that you've seen on most of your other devices. The M5 also has a LiDAR sensor, which can be used with augmented reality apps, which can be fun. Or if you're somebody who actually needs this for work, maybe you're trying to build out rooms or designs, then that LiDAR can come in handy. With the front-facing cameras, the M5 iPad Pro has a 12-megapixel sensor that is centered in landscape mode when using the iPad with keyboard, which gives it a more natural look. You also have the option to use center stage with face-calling apps that allows the camera to kind of follow you around as you move around, so you're always centered. The 2018 iPad Pro has 5 microphones and a 7-megapixel camera, which is built into the center of portrait mode, which makes it look less natural and kind of awkward when you're using it with a Magic Keyboard. Now, when it comes to the battery on these devices, Apple says that both of these, with a fresh, brand new battery, should get up to 10 hours of use. If you're still rocking a 2018 iPad Pro, then chances are that battery is a little bit degraded after 7 years, which I've seen on this one. So using these two devices side by side for multiple days, I can see that the 2018 iPad Pro is draining about twice as fast, so I'm only getting about 5 or 6 hours of usage compared to basically around 10 with the M5. The M5 also has the added advantage is that it can charge up to 50% in just 30 minutes with a 60-watt power adapter using that bottom charging port. When it comes to wireless and radios inside these iPad Pros, the M5 does have Wi-Fi 7 versus Wi-Fi 5 on the 2018, which does result in much, much faster speeds, as you can see. Now, there's also 5G availability in the M5 iPad Pro versus a maximum of 4G in the 2018. There's also Bluetooth 6 in the M5 versus Bluetooth 5, and honestly, I have no idea what the difference is anymore. Both of them connect to AirPods, both of them connect to Bluetooth speakers, and whatever else I need that's Bluetooth, so what's really the difference? I don't know. And lastly, there's a couple of differences with the accessories for these two devices. With the 2018 iPad Pro, you have the original iPad Magic Keyboard. There's no function row up here, and this is a physically clicking trackpad. And you get the Apple Pencil 2 or the Apple Pencil USB-C. The M5 iPad Pro gets the newer Magic Keyboard, which has this aluminum base. It has a function row up here, which is great for changing the volume and the screen brightness and putting it to sleep, and the escape key actually comes in handy quite a bit. It's also got this haptic trackpad, so it's not a physically moving device, even though it feels like it is. The M5 also can take advantage of the new Pencil Pro, which has a couple of advantages over the Apple Pencil 2, including barrel roll, which is used for changing brush orientation as you're moving around. You can squeeze it to open up palettes. There's haptic feedback, Apple Pencil Hover, and there's Find My built in here, so if you lose it, you can use the Find My app to find it. So the only question left really is who should upgrade? Well, if you're a creative or a professional who needs a better tool, then the M5 is definitely going to give you an upgrade. If you do a lot of drawing, like my daughter who's an artist, she finds that the increased memory and performance allows her to have more layers in things like Procreate. If you want to edit video on the iPad Pro using Final Cut, you're going to need the M5 or a more recent iPad. The 2018 iPad Pro won't even install it. And if you do something like interior design and you want to be able to use LiDAR to scan a room and place furniture, augmented reality style, then you're going to need the upgraded iPad. If you're more of a content consumer, then that tandem OLED display on the M5 is going to knock your socks off. It is so much better compared to the 2018. That 1600 nits of peak HDR brightness makes videos pop. It is so much better, so much brighter. You get more detail, more dynamic range than the 600 nit LCD panel on the 2018 iPad Pro. If you're a gamer, it might not make sense to upgrade because, as you saw earlier, the games that I tried out didn't really have any performance difference between these two iPads. Now, there are going to be games out there that might take advantage of that, but if you're currently using a 2018 iPad Pro and not having any issues with the games you want to play, then you might not need to upgrade. Another reason you might want to upgrade is if you're on the go a lot. This nano texture option, which is only available with the 1 and 2 terabyte models, is amazing for using your iPad away from your desk. Whether you're on a train or a coffee shop or just in a really bright room, it's nice not seeing a reflection of yourself or the lights behind you all the time. If your battery on your 2018 iPad Pro is only lasting a few hours, then it's probably a good time to upgrade as well, although you could just replace the battery in the iPad for about $100 and maybe get a couple more years out of it. If you're looking for more storage on the go for downloading offline video or for other things you store on your iPad, then it might be time to upgrade if you're running out of space on what you have right now. And if you don't have cellular connection that you've always wanted on your 2018 iPad Pro, you could always upgrade and add cellular to the M5. So I think that is everything to do with the M5 iPad Pro compared to the 2018 iPad Pro. As you can see, they look very similar, but there's actually quite a few differences between them in performance and features. I think there's a lot of compelling reasons to upgrade from the 2018 iPad Pro to the M5 iPad Pro if you need it, but if you don't need it, then just go ahead and stick around with your old one for a little longer, maybe change the battery or something like that. But if you do decide to upgrade to the M5 iPad Pro and you want help transferring all of your data from your 2018 to the M5, check out this video right over here. It's a good one. I go through all the steps to actually get you fully set up on your new iPad, so check it out if you're picking up a new one. Hit the thumbs up button if you liked it, hit subscribe if you want, and I'll see you next time.